Hi, good evening. Hirsch Sah here again. And the time is currently for me Monday evening, which is 29th of July 2019. And like I said, it's a Monday. Had a pretty long day at work. So just excuse me if I, make some errors in this one or am not appear to be not quite onto it. This interesting topic. I remember a friend telling me, saying, that he basically just came up with on the spot, which is you never get a second chance. Obviously, that's not always the case, but I know exactly what he meant. He said basically what he meant was that in things that are important, certainly in big things, you never get a second chance. And that's what he told me after I told him the story of what happened to me many, many years ago, which was in one of my first jobs. And this is a long time ago. So, to be quite honest, I was young, naive, even a bit stupid and all that. And it was an evening after work, well after 5 p.m., and people were just relaxing, drinking, even bit of office banter. They were joking about certain things, and I made a bit of a joke too. I just thought it was okay because they were already in that sort of environment, and they were making the jokes as well. But I was quite new to the job at the time. I was only a few weeks in, so maybe I should have seen that I wasn't, how do you put it in quotes, one of them yet, and therefore able to make such a joke. But it seemed sort of okay at the time, and nothing really happened. But then, of course, the next working day, I was called in to see the manager. Just like at school, if you're called in to see the principal or the teacher or anything like that, and this one turned out to be quite interesting. Just one thing I said, which was definitely obviously a joke. I guess some people just or this certain person just took it the wrong way, or maybe took it very seriously, or who knows, maybe was angry at something else at the time, or feeling down, and then this is what really, what really, how do you put it, um, really broke them, what really hit them, and all hell broke loose as a result. And I was called in, and I was this morning to see the manager and another middle manager of the office, and it's just amazing. They were very angry as if I'd done something extremely wrong. And long story short, in the very end, I did actually lose that job, and I wasn't happy because I'd worked really hard to get it. I've been searching for months, and it's a job I'd worked up to at that point the highest salary that I've ever had, and it was full time. Before that, I had a part time job, and I really enjoyed it. And even though I was only a few weeks in, I had worked really hard in those few weeks to really get to know the people in the office, to get to know the office itself, and to get to know the actual job, the role I had, even though it was a PA role, just basically a simple PA role, but still I worked really hard to get to know it, even making my own notes of things, and even reading over the notes and absorbing them like a student in the weekends during the first few weeks in that job. But unfortunately, I did lose the job in the end. But coming back to sort of the being called in to see the managers, and I'll never forget this. And after I told my friend the story, that's when he said, "Oh well, you never get a second chance." Um, as you know, that's not always the case, but sometimes when it shouldn't be, it is the case. And just for saying something which was very small, it made me think. There's a saying: "It's not what you say, it's how you say it." I mean, I'd like to add to that and say, yeah, that is true. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. But sometimes it's also who you say it to. I'm sure you can already think of examples, even very, say, rude things or things that are offensive to a certain person or certain groups of people. And you could say it to someone and they won't even mind. They might even like it for whatever reason. But you say to another certain person, and obviously it won't go down so well. So that's what I always thought. It's interesting. It's not what you say. It's not even how you say it. It's also who you say it to. But in this meeting, I remember I was quite young and stupid at the time. I remember like immediately being called in and just being really interrogated, and just really, in some ways, being a bit abused, if you know what I mean, in terms of how I was spoken to. And I remember a very much older man who probably saw me as just a little kid, a much older man. I estimated sort of probably in his 70s. I remember him saying to me, I've been dealing with these sort of issues since long before you were even born. Yeah, well, isn't that insult right there? That's ageist. And I remember responding to him saying, "Oh well, you know what? I'll be handling these issues much better, mind you, long after you die." and which by the looks of it will only be about, say, 10 years, 5 if we're lucky. So that probably didn't go down so well, but hey, I mean, he made me uncomfortable, he made me feel angry. And speaking of uncomfortable, him and the other manager kept going on and on about how I made a certain person feel uncomfortable by what I said at that time. And it's amazing, how they spoke to me. I say to them, well, the way you're speaking to me now, you're not even letting me respond properly. You're not even letting me tell my side of the story. You're making me feel very uncomfortable. And yes, there are two sides to every story, believe it or not. And I would tell them again and again the same things, which were really what happened and how I meant it as a joke. And they would even take me down for that, saying that you keep telling us the same things. And I said, yeah, well, because that's what happened. If I keep telling you the same set of events, and I won't change it, whether it's now or whether it's a year from now, because that is what happened. That is the truth. And I remember this person who accused me of saying this, something. They came back even days later as we had other meetings, and as this whole little, in quotes again, investigation progressed, they actually came back with other things, different things, basically changing their story again and again, especially sort of smaller, minor points, And what does that tell you about what they said? If they keep changing the story, or if they seem to, in quotes, forget this or forget that, whereas I stayed with the same story. But hey, I mean, I guess it's a bit like that saying, always better to be the plaintiff as opposed to the defendant. But it was an interesting one, lost the job, and yeah, sometimes you aren't given a second chance, even at times when you deserve it. I do remember one thing I did say to them, and of course they just wouldn't even listen to me at this point. I said, do you know what? And I came up with the saying pretty much there on the spot. I've done really well in this job so far, and people are very happy with me. I just ask you, judge me on the 99 things I did right, not the one thing I did wrong. Judge me on the 99 things I did right, not the one thing I did wrong. And I do think that's a very good saying, and it should be applied to virtually anyone in probably virtually all cases. And I said, at least with what's happened, I've learned this, and it will definitely not happen again. If anything, I'm a stronger person, I'm a more mature person. So if anything, I'm actually better suited for the office, for this job, than how I was before. But again, they wouldn't hear it, and it's amazing how they just all changed. Even other people in the office changed after they heard certain stories, which were of course twisted and added to and all that. But no, that's what happened, and I guess I just had to move on. But hey, I certainly learned a lot from it. But I'll never forget that one saying, which I really think should apply to virtually everyone in pretty much all cases. Judge me based on the 99 things I did right, not the one thing I did wrong. And maybe sometimes based on that, we should get a second chance. That's what I think, for what it's worth. Thank you.